Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Town Hall. My name is Bryan, and with me today is Marcel Sarzen. He's the founder of AGL Technology. And welcome, Marcel. Glad to have you here.
Pleasure to be here with you guys.
Awesome. I guess what I want to do is get an idea of your background and how you ended up, moving through your career and ended up working with turkeys, essentially.
Yeah, no, it's always kind of interesting when you first have people hear about where you're playing in your space. But my background is engineering. I'm actually a Georgia Tech mechanical engineer undergrad, and then a master's degree to just general engineering. Got caught up in the probably the IT consulting space with Accenture for about 6, 7 years, and then got caught up in startups. And this first startup I did was probably in 96, 97, and have been in that kind of mode of either being in a startup mode or running my own company through that entire time period. So a strong technology background, a little bit of a fearless learner. I'll give myself that. I'll have people say, Marcel, how'd you ever get to turkeys? Or how did you ever work with dogs? Uh, just kind of a passion space of animals is kind of a fun space to get to work in. But go back to my Accenture days, I was definitely working in the more hard, heavy, dealing with utilities, dealing with banking, dealing with travel transportation, and just the chance to get to work with animals was a fun space that's evolved over the last, I'm gonna say 20 years that I've been playing it.
Well, I know in a previous conversation that we had, you told me how passionate you were about animals in general. And although you might not have known it originally, working with animals is kind of maybe almost a destiny for you, right?
Yeah, no, this is animals going all the way through my life have always been important to me. Um, and I've always told people that if I had not been an engineer at Georgia Tech, I would have gone to my arch enemy, University of Georgia, and become a veterinarian. And the fun part is I'm getting to blend those two worlds. I mean, sometimes you never think, how's an engineer going to go work in the animal space? And it's amazing where our careers can take us. And just, a number of probably the, listeners we have in the audience here, you don't know where these things are going to take you, and it's always kind of an interesting ride, a little bit of a random walk at times, but you keep stacking all these life experiences and capabilities that you build in your career, and then suddenly you get, in my case, it was I got to go work in the perfect space that really blends together for me. So you think about between an engineer and animals, what really is kind of a fun tech space to be in is agricultural technology. So it's ag tech, and looking at things of how use either the cloud and sensors to do measurements on animals, to measure health, welfare, even sustainability. Just a lot of really fun things when I start mixing together that animal space mixed with the sensor space.
Um, so Another perfect example of not really knowing what you're going to end up working with. You've got an engineer background, and yet here you are dealing with a lot with sound, which is not necessarily your background, is it?
Yeah, no, this goes back to, I like the term fearless learner. In fact, I like hiring fearless learners. And Bryan, I think you and I talked probably about 6 months ago, and I'd say, Bryan, I'm looking for some adult supervision in this space. And all of us, we can't know everything. It's, you have to find those people you can go lean on who know a space, and get the right team put together. And that's what I've been able to do on my sound side here. So in fact, kind of a thing that I've kind of coined in our ag tech space here is that sound and artificial intelligence are the Swiss Army knife of sensors, because the ability to almost look at all sorts of different animal behavioral things using sound, and then turn that to understanding health, welfare, operational events, different things. It's no different than, you think about, those that go on Facebook and you start tagging pictures of people, and suddenly Facebook or whatever the social media platform is, it learns who that person is. Well, the same thing happens here with sound, where you start training it to learn about different key things, like, for example, a turkey that's coughing, a turkey that's sneezing, a turkey that's doing different vocalizations that they're indicative of stress. So it's no different than tagging yourself in a photo and suddenly it learns who Marcel is or who Bryan is. And when you bring up Facebook next time, you can now see, oh, here's Bryan and the last 10 years of pictures. We found him real quick. Well, the same thing is true with sound, the ability to start tagging sounds and then apply those sounds to operational areas to actually bring value in a space where you're looking over the health of animals, the welfare of animals, or even the sustainability play.
Awesome. So um, I would I kind of envision it as being the wild west of uh, communication with animals almost. I see this as like the early stages, hopefully, of one day being able to not necessarily having a dialogue with animals, but at least be able to understand them to the point where we can live in a more united and peaceful world with them, rather than the abuse that a lot of them seem to be exposed to, unfortunately. So
Yes, funny you mentioned, the ability to, the concept of being able to talk to an animal. When I was first trying to name the company, going back, we first started the company back in 2013. I was like, I want to be Dr. Doolittle. And you guys may think of Eddie Murphy, but this is before Eddie Murphy was along. The Dr. Doolittle was actually a veterinarian who had the ability to talk to the animals and communicate with them. So what we're trying to do is you're trying to using the data coming from these different sensors, whether it's sound, whether it's vision, whether it's other sensors, is give them a voice that says, I'm either so. And this relates back to another project I was involved with in the last from 2013 to 2018. I was focusing in the dog space, and it was a sensor called Vetrex that goes on a dog's collar, and it quantifies behaviors. So think about the ability to have that your dog say, I'm itchy, I've got a dermatological issue going on, and you can see it in the data, and you have a mobile app that allows you to see that the dog is, I give him a medication or I give him a bath, and I can see that he's no longer itching anymore. Same thing on dogs with ear infections. We were also using that same sensor, using AI with that sensor, the ability to see that dog was shaking its head. So think about a dog with ear infections. And it was interesting as we were developing this application, again called Vetrax, we had people say, okay, really what I want to know is my dog happy?
yeah,
Is my dog living the fullness of his life? And the ability to kind of measure that and say, hey, a happiness factor for your dog. I think all of us would kind of find that interesting, and with our pets are almost like extended family members.